Tervehdys rakkaat ystävät ja tervetuloa uusimman Keskiympyrän pariin. Tällä kertaa saamme vieraaksemme jo toista kertaa tämän ohjelman historiassa Ricardo Duarten, FC Lahden päävalmentajana nykyään toimiva Duarte on siis pari kuukautta ollut nyt Lahdessa. Edellisen kerran, kun hän vieraili Keskiympyrässä, hän oli vielä AC-päävalmentaja, mutta nyt siis Lahden peräsimessä. Ja Duarten komennossa Lahden kelkkaan tässä pikkuhiljaa alkanut kääntyä, joukkue on alkanut saamaan tuloksia. Edelleenkin se tarvitsee kipeästi pisteitä, jotta se säilyttää paikkansa Veikkausliigassa myöskin ensi kaudeksi, mutta joka tapauksessa positiivisempaan suuntaan Lahdessa on menty. Otetaan nyt Ricardo Duarte mukaan tähän ohjelmaan. Jutellaan vähän siitä, mitä tässä välillä on tapahtunut ennen kuin hän Lahteen tuli. Toisaalta, mitä Lahdessa nyt on viimeisen parin kuukauden aikana tehty, jotta kurssi on alkanut kääntyä positiivisemmaksi. Ricardo, thank you for being and visiting Keskiympyrä again. It's the second time already. It's been, I think, 1.5 years ago when you were here before, and a lot of things have happened after that. But how are you?
So first of all, thank you once again for the invitation. It's always good to chat with you. Sometimes in front of other cameras. It has been a while ago, 1.5 years ago, and I think I have a couple of white hair more, little bit of white hair more, and probably a little bit more of experience than 1.5 years ago. But life has been challenging and good at the same time.
Yeah, you've been now in Lahti for a few months. How have you enjoyed being there in Lahti? Of course, it's you know the city. You've been in Finland for a long time, so it's not like completely new thing for you.
No, it's not a completely new thing. I've been a little bit all over in Finland, a couple of cities, and I knew Lahti, of course, at least for playing here. For the moments we came to play here with different teams, it's I can say it's in this crazy summer. It's a very warm city, but I think probably it has been warm all over Finland this year. Hottest summer in Europe, I heard. It's an enjoyable city, full of light, full of water, full of good places where you can go. Even though, if I want very honest with you, if I am very honest with you, it has been mostly training, working in the office, and coming home, and really few moments I had the chance to go somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, I can imagine you've been busy with the team and stuff around it. So first of all, now you are back in Finland after a while. So did you have to think about coming back to Finland and coming to Lahti when you heard that you have a chance to come here?
Of course, we always think about coming to Finland or anywhere. We always think about the possibilities. But honestly, I was maybe for the longest time in my life 5 months without coaching, without working. So it was a very easy decision because I wanted to come back to the pitch, because coaches, it's more or less like players. If you don't train and you don't play, then you lose your shape in a way. So I wanted to keep my shape and to continue developing myself as coach. I think that's in the field that you continue developing, even though I think the second month of this break I had was very good for me. Also from the energetical point of view, also from the family point of view, I could put some matters in place, because when we are coaching, sometimes we see nothing else. But of course, then it was an easy decision. There were other possibilities, but I think these show up. They show up in the right moment, also with the right people. So I'm very happy to be here and to be working for FC Lahti, because yeah, it has been an enjoyable journey.
Yeah. After AC Oulu, you said in some interview that you prioritize coaching in Finland. You have been in Finland for a long time, and you would like to stay in Finland. So what are the things that you like it in Finland, that you want to coach here? You have been in several teams already.
I don't see myself coaching only in Finland, of course. And before I coached in Portugal, so it was a short experience of 3 months full of uncertainty, that ended too early. But of course, in Finland, I think I have already a lot of knowledge about the culture, about the players, about the league, about the cities, about the fields, because here it's a big thing. It's totally different. The game can be totally different depending on the field where you play, compared to, for instance, Portugal. It's a little bit more homogeneous, the grass fields. Here you can have still few grass fields, not many anymore. At the moment, we have only 2 teams with a grass field, but you can have a good turf and bad turf and okay turf, and quite different conditions also in the games. So I think I have some knowledge now, some experience about this Veikkausliiga context that makes me a little bit more prepared. And I like the league. I like the league. I like the context. I think it's more competitive than what people says. Especially you Finns, you are very critical about your own country, your own product, and your own things. And I think football here is better than in many other leagues in Europe, or in some leagues in Europe at least. But yeah, I think probably with my eyes from outside, I can see it.
Yeah. So you mentioned it a little bit. You said, but how was the time away from Finland? Like you said, with coaching, and of course you said you weren't coaching in many months. So what kind of a period it was for
Uh,
you?
it was very good. It was very good experience. First, family-wise, it was amazing, because we went back to the north of Portugal from where I am. I was coaching a team 30 minutes away from my parents' house, so you can imagine. So I could bring my daughters back to the grandparents, and it was a very enjoyable family experience. Then coaching-wise, it was very good, also a very good challenge, because I could go back to my country and finally do it as head coach, because I was there before as assistant coach, different levels, but for the first time as head coach. And the competitive level, Liga 3, there, it's third league. It's quite good. It's quite good. A lot of quality players. For instance, in my squad, I had a lot of players coming from top academies in Portugal, from Porto Academy, from Vitória Guimarães Academy, from Braga Academy, Rio Ave, and so on. So first league clubs, or players from academies of first league clubs, with top education, so you don't need to teach all the basics. A lot of quality, so it was very enjoyable, very competitive football, because there also because of the surface conditions, the grass, etc. The game is a little bit different. I think I can share a story. I remember the first game we had there, and I was trying to put my eyes in the game after. We lost the first game, and I was still arriving and trying to, okay, let me organize the game in different contexts. And I started cutting build-up actions, and I realized that after the first half, I had maybe 4 build-up actions. This is not possible. Maybe I did it wrong. And I went again, first half, and okay, it's only 4 build-up actions. And I did the same in the second half, maybe 5 or 6 or 4, I don't remember exactly. But if I compare to Finland, you can have 10, 12, 14 build-up actions normally per half. And I started thinking, well, what is going on? And then you see much more duels, much more fighting, much balls in the air, and because the game is totally different there. That was a big reflection. So now I'm getting to a point that I understand even better these cultural differences and these challenges that are posed here in Finland. And now I was, a few days ago, I was a little bit playing a joke with some players and coaches there in our training or before the training, the meeting, explaining them that in Portugal, because of the nature of this game, first thing you have to teach the players is to put the ball on the ground and play, because the ball is a lot in the air, a lot of challenges, physicality is key there. Here, it's a little bit the opposite. Here, you have to teach, and I am now teaching for the first time players how to clear the ball away. Because the defenders, they put the ball on the ground, try to play every time, even in the circumstances they shouldn't. So you have to balance this. So the game, it's a lot different. I used to say that here in Finland, you play futsal in a big football field.
Yeah.
Because of the surface, because everything you do on the trainings, if you do it properly, then they translate very much to the game. There is less noise, there is less uncertainty compared to the games on the grass. Of course, here in Lahti, we still have grass, and it makes me happy.
Yeah. So I also wanted to ask you, like before you came to Lahti, your last team was Oulu. If you look back now, the experience, what are the biggest things that come to your mind from that time in Oulu? What kind of experience it was for you?
For me, in a personal level, it was very important. It was my first time as Veikkausliiga coach. I matured a lot. I did mistakes that I probably wouldn't repeat now, but we have to learn. But it was very very important step for me. What can I say? When I left the club was in fourth place in Veikkausliiga, if I'm not wrong, and we were about to we lost the qualification for the Zona Cup final. And in that same season, we reached the Liga Cup final. I think part of the dimension of a club like Aseolo, it was something that I can't say it was good. It was amazing in my perspective, even though you didn't win anything, or but the results, expression of the results was too good. So I keep these good memories from there. Also, mostly the players we worked with. Some of them I still keep contact, especially the ones that are not there at the moment. So it was a very important moment. Very good friends I made there. People that it's not football related. Other Portuguese people living in Oulu, other people from other parts of the world that I met. It was a really, really important moment for me and for my family as well, because my family was with me over that time.
Yeah. I remember when we met in the summer of 23. I think it was before your game against Honka. We did an interview for Ruutu, and then we spoke before the game, and I think there was like maybe it was before some FIFA days or something, but I remember that you had maybe a week or almost 2 weeks off after that, and we were speaking about that break, and you told me that you especially you personally need the break, and you need to rest. You felt tired, so, and also you spoke about a little bit about that after the time has was gone after AC Oulu. So did you feel like the end of that period? Did you felt really like tired, or did you felt like did you feel like you had some kind of a burnout in the end of that era?
Not burnout, because I know myself very well. If I continue, I will enter in a burnout, and that was the main reason to not continue there, and to ask to not continue there, even though people didn't really wanted to understand or even to hear the explanations. But that's another thing. But we play AC Oulu on Saturday. Can we move the page?
Yeah, of course we can. You have been like you said, you've been in different teams in Finland. Knistan, AC Oulu, now Lahti. A little bit of same situations. Of course, it's always different to go to different teams, but in Knistan needed like saving to stay in ykkönen. AC Oulu needed saving to stay in Veikkausliiga, and now Lahti, you have to stay in Veikkausliiga. So how would you compare these different situations, but also they have something similar?
And you are missing this experience in Portugal, because it was exactly the same context. It was
Yeah.
a team in the last place in Liga 3, and they signed me to take the team out of that situation, to stay then in the club, develop in the club for the coming years. But it lasted 3 months, because it's like a joke. I'm not gonna share the story, because you wouldn't believe. But basically, the club ended relegated, so they didn't allow me to finalize the job. But there is something in common, I call this crisis management, because when you come in the middle of a season in situations like this, there is crisis. The reasons can be multiple ones, and in all these contexts, they are different. But there is crisis, and there is a group of professional players and professional coaches in the clubs, and you have to, how I used to say, you have to find ways to give hope to people, and to make people believe that the things can improve, and maybe with some luck, the things have been happening mostly in a positive way in these experiences. But the strategies have been very much different in the different contexts, because of the diagnosis I make. It's fundamental. Maybe also my maturity nowadays compared to my early times in Nissan, that I was trying out what is to be a head coach in those years. But I think I think I can manage these situations, but I think I'm much better developing the clubs when I start the season. Honestly, because it's not easy. These situations are not easy. I used to say that one season that you spend in a situation like this, it makes you 2 years older. It's more or less, because it sucks energy, because you have to fight many different things. You have to find the way. You have to very quickly make recognition of the situation. You have to find ways to support people around. You have to reorganize the working environments, and this is usually what you do in 2 months normally. In a pre-season. In Finland, even 3 months probably, but in some other countries, 1.5 months, 6 weeks or 7 weeks. It takes a while. The process is to be implemented, and then the most difficult part is probably if you are in the last place in the table, or near to the bottom of the table, your game is not good. There are problems in your way of play. So you have to repair. You have to make changes, either small, either big ones, and those changes, they take time. But you are competing with teams that are in a totally different situation. For instance, here, my first game with FC Lahti was against Ilves. They were one of the top teams in the league, playing amazingly. And you arrive, you have 2 or 3 sessions, and you play against those guys. That's very difficult. That's very difficult, because you are, okay, players make an effort, they try to understand, you try to explain, the picture starts to be not clear. They see some colors, they see some traces, but you need time. You need time to be sure that you can do the things on the pitch, to repair the mistakes you do. And in football, you do one mistake and you can lose one game. So that is the most difficult part, to make players believe these things you are implementing, they will reward you not in the next game, but maybe in 1 month. So from these experiences, I used to say that 1 month is this period of time that you need to put the team playing 90 minutes football in the way you decide to reorganize the team. Or for me, it has been like this. I think here in FC Lahti, merit to the coaches that I found here, merit to the players I found here, we were able to make it shorter. I think after 3 weeks, we were playing 90 minutes football with some coherence. But then you can have games where you play better, you play less good. But for the first time, and actually it was against Asseolo, our home game, that we lost 2-1. We played 90 minutes football for the first time in the direction we were working for 3 weeks in that moment. But we lost. So sometimes it's like this. Yeah. I think I was probably lucky here to find a committed group of players that trusted. It was easier to sell the idea because they trusted. They are intelligent guys. I think nowadays it's in a way it's easier to be a coach because the players are much clever than in my time. Sorry to say, because they understand the things much faster. So it helps.
Yeah.
I don't know if I answered your question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, perfectly. I think. What are the first things you do when you take a job like this? Have you find some patterns that you use, same things that you use with Knistan, with AC Oulu, with Lahti now?
Yes. The first thing I do is from outside. Is before I arrive in the context. It's watching games. Watching games and getting the first idea of what is this team missing? What is this team lacking? And then those things can be different ones, of course. And for instance, I had much more difficulties to do this when I was studying VNS in Portuguese League, because I didn't know that Liga 3, because it was a very recent league. In my time in Portugal, that league that didn't exist, so I didn't know the players, the league, the way of play there so well. It was more difficult for me. But I had support from people there in the club that made some report for me about how the game was played there in the league, basically. How the best teams played, how the less good teams played. So they characterized a little bit. I could get some info, but it was more difficult. So basically, it's a tactical diagnosis, if you want. Then there are two possible ways. You keep little bit what the team is trying to do and you repair a few things, or you propose a new approach. And honestly, only time I tried to make just some repairs and keep the approach was in this experience in VNS. And it's probably the only thing I regret, because I wasted 2 games trying to fix, trying to repair. At the same time, I was learning the players. And after 2 games, I realized that there is no chance to fix this system with these players, because there are no bad or good systems. There are systems that allows the team to express the best out of their players, and that system wasn't. And after the system was, let's say, there are no bad systems, but there are some that are more complicated to work with. So after 2 games, I had to change the system, to change a lot of new behaviors, because when you change system, you can keep the same principles, but you have to change behaviors. One thing is the principles, the other thing, or the playing style, the principles of the playing style, the other is the behaviors, the specific behaviors. So, and when I changed it, then bang, it happened. Then we stopped the losing streak. We had, if I'm not wrong, we had 3 draws in a row against tough teams. That for a team that was losing was very good. 3 draws. And then, okay, we stabilized a little bit, but then other chaotic things happened. But it was the first time I tried to stay, maybe because I was lacking the full knowledge of the players of the league. The other situations in the East, and we changed it more dramatically, the system of play. And because in those cases, same thing, I identified that the system was not able to express the full potential of the players. And the group of players had characteristics that could be optimized with other tactical approach. But of course, one thing is the system that you choose to put your players working, etc. And now we are using this 3-4-3 system here in Lahti consistently. But and for the first time in my career, I'm using this system in a consistent way. I have tried out 1 or 2 games, but never like this. So it's also learning for me. But the other thing are the principles, and the principles of play. Those ones, they are very difficult for me to negotiate. They are part of my football philosophy, if you want. So for me, it's very difficult. Very difficult if I have to change these foundations of how I see football. Those they are difficult. So they are a little bit. I think if you see, and one of these days I found an old clip from VNS, from my last team in Portugal, and I put it playing there in the office, and I was watching it, and it could be maybe FC Lahti playing, because it's very similar. The principles underlying, they are similar.
Mm.
And even here, when we received the Rasio, one of my former players from last season, he told me, "Hey, you are playing like we were playing last year." So they also recognize a little bit some of the characteristics, even though sometimes you have to make compromises. For instance, here in the beginning of FC Lahti, I made a little bit of compromises with my foundational principles, but with time, we are making steps in that direction. Or at least I hope.
Yeah. Also, many people are saying that FC Lahti is maybe one of the best teams in the league. If you think about transfer window, you signed some good players who has been able to help the team to have those results. So, what kind of a say did you have on those players before you signed to FC Lahti? Did you send a list that I want these kind of players, or how many players, or how did it go?
So I think the success of our transfer window, it's not Ricardo merit. First of all, I think we have in FC Lahti, I found honestly a much more professional structure than what I was expecting. I think the club is very well structured in a professional way. So let's say we have a full professional staff. Most of my assistants, they are full-time in the first team. They do nothing else. And I'm not sure if there are any other team in Veikkausliiga with this kind of setup, honestly. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but it's to my understanding, it can be similar. There can be similar, but I have quite many full-time coaches supporting my daily job. So I have never been in a club with this kind of professionality in this way. Then you have not brand new training ground, but you have enough good facilities, tools, equipment, everything. And then there is here some kind of routine in the club, how the players are scouted. And we do it a little bit different from the majority of the clubs. I don't know if people is aware, but majority of the clubs, there is 1, 2, maximum 3 persons that are involved in this scouting, at least here in Finland. Of course, in bigger clubs, there are thousands of scouts. But in what it concerns to decisions, it's 1, 2, 3 persons maximum, and very secret, and nobody knows about the things that. And here we have a different approach that was already in the club. There is a scouting group involving all the coaches, involving other people outside the coaches, and every player is checked by this group, and we cross perspectives about this. And I think this is really interesting. It's like decision-making consensus in a way. Of course, then if Ricardo really wants too much, and some guys say no, maybe I can try to fight a little bit. But I honestly, I try to listen also what the other coaches are saying. And of course, here in FC Lahti, then the negotiations and everything, it's done by Mr. Jussi Lumio. There's a lot of experience on these 28 years signing players and recruiting players. So big help. And of course, I made a diagnosis. I proposed a different system of play, and when you propose a different system of play, there are players that probably has to change a little bit their position to fit. We had a single case of one player that couldn't fit in our system, and yes, he's a young player, a promising young player, national team player, below Avila, and he went on to continue developing his career and also to be able to play more minutes. So all the others could fit in this system, but we needed more players and we needed to add a little bit of experience. That was the key thing. So the recruitments we made, they were mostly experienced players coming from very reliable sources. Of course, two of them, they were former players of mine that I knew very well, but the others I didn't know personally, or I never worked with, but we tried to be very detailed in the scouting and at the same time look for other sources of information, because the technical side is important, etc. But the person you bring to the locker room is much more important at the end of the day.
Yeah. One player particularly I want to ask you about, because he has been with you in Knistan, in AC Oulu, and now in Lahti. Of course, Lukinias is the player we are talking, and what kind of things do you see in him that you want to bring him back all over again, like I said, and also because I know, if I'm honest, I know that the AC Oulu fans, they don't think that Lukinias was a good signing for Oulu. They were not happy how he played there, and but still he's been with you now, and now he's in Lahti. So what kind of things you see in him, and why are you keeping him with you? Now he's doing great again in Lahti, I think.
And he did great in Oulu as well. He won games for the team. He helped the team. He helped. People only sees the games. People doesn't see the so many hours we spend working. And those hours, they are not always happy hours. It's not working in professional football. It's not like working in a bar where you have happy hours and everyone comes and everyone drinks for free, etc. There are no happy hours every day there. And many weeks they are not happy. And the character of the players is the first thing that we should be sure about. So Luquinhas is a player that I know for a long time, and I know what we can expect. And I can say even more. Maybe there is a player that was sold in AC Oulu because Luquinhas was part of that squad. I have a clear opinion about this. So you have players that are good because they are good players, and you have players they are good and they make the others good in a daily basis. It's difficult to explain. I don't know. I can't find the best words to choose. Of course, I would sign Luquinhas to come here only because of what we see in the games. But I know with him we can bring other dimension to the team that it's not easy to find. And I was lucky to find one day. So I know he's a reliable professional. I know everyone can count on him in the bad moments, because in the happy moments we can count with everyone. But so I think is one of the reasons is this human side, yes, and this character, yes. But of course, if he's not a very good player on the field, you wouldn't be here again. So yes, a lot of quality. He's one of the best dribblers in this league, and he's one of the best pressers in this league. That is something that people is more difficult to see. I didn't coach so many players who are better on pressing actions, and especially on counter pressing actions like him. But then his one against one skill and his last pass, his deep completion is something. So in the middle of last season, he was on top of the league in terms of deep completion, for instance. So his passive vision is something interesting as well. So a little bit of this, and also coincidences, because he was not happy where he was in different moments in this journey. So there is no. I think there is also a lot of coincidence.
Yeah. So if you look back, like you've been in Lahti for a few months now, and of course you were talking about how you scout players and stuff like that. How would you see that, or how do you see the club from your perspective now? What kind of things do you think you need to improve in your daily life, from the head coach's perspective, and of course, what are the things that you're happy about?
There is a diagnosis that is already done and offered to the competent people inside of the club, and I think those specifics, they are more internal for now. But there is a clear diagnosis of what I found, the very good things that exist, what we, in my opinion, are lacking still, and what probably can be the next steps for the club. But I think this is a little bit internal matter. But I think FC Lahti position in Veikkausliiga is too solid to be in situations like we are at the moment, because the club has resources, has facilities, has infrastructures. Doesn't have a own stadium, let's say, but not many clubs have their own stadium in Finland. But there is a big stadium for 12,000 people. That is, you know better than me, Lahti is a real football town in Finland. People is crazy about football here. This game we had here against Stoico at home, it was one of the best atmospheres I ever had in football, including some games in Portuguese league. One of the best atmospheres, really, because people is really passionate here. Our fans are amazing, and wherever we go, there is always a group of Lahti fans. For instance, in Valkeakoski, our fans group was bigger than the home team fans. The amount of guys there. So I think there is a lot of positive things. And now there are these news that you might be aware, this joint venture of these youth Lahti clubs that together are shaping the third biggest in terms of number of players in the country. So I think there is a lot of room for improvement, for development in FC Lahti, in city of Lahti, when these clubs also decided to work together.
Yes. So the biggest games of the season, maybe, if you could say. Of course, you get 3 points from every game, no matter if it's in April or October. But last games, at least, are starting now. You have 6 games now without a loss. Are you happy of that record, or no?
Not really. We should have won a couple of them, couple of these draws. We should have been more competent to win. I'm not saying we were competent and we didn't win. Probably in some cases a little bit, but it's too many draws. I prefer to lose one and to win the next than to have 2 draws, because it's 3 points or 2 points. It's basic mathematics. But it's very positive that we are not losing, of course. For the situation the team was, 6 games without loss, it's good. And we played quite many games against top 6 teams. In these 6 games, if we count down, it was Esico. The team had 14 goals in the league before Esico game. and we scored 5 in that game. So it was 33% of the season goals in a single game. So against a top opponent, they were playing amazingly. They asked you. So Asiko, then it was Oiko, then it was eighth. No, it's not a top 16. Then it was VPS, Haka, and Mariam. So 4 out of these 6 opponents, they are top 16. I think it's good, and we didn't lose with any of them. That's already good. And we draw with Mariam, most difficult game for us, and then we won 8th in these 6 games. So I think it's very positive for the situation, and if we are in 11th place, it's not because of these 6 games for sure. But it's still a difficult position. We are still in a difficult position, and the things have to continue to move very well. And these people speaks a lot about confidence in football and momentum and form, and the way the score of our next game will be determined by what we do in the next game. Totally. How much energy, effort you put there, how much focus, how much battles you win, how much good actions you make compared to the opponents. That is what is going to determine the score of the next game. And people before the game speculates a lot. FC Lahti is now in a momentum that they don't lose anymore. Of course we can lose, and I hope we can win also. So we give a lot of attention to the past. People that works in football knows that what determines a good future is the energy you can put in the present moment. So if we don't do our job to the best we can in the next one, and then in the next one, and then in the next one, everything we have been doing during these 2.5 months goes to the trash can. So there is still a lot to do.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think I'm surrounded by very competent people. From the staff, we had also to reshape a little bit the staff. I have an amazing group of coaches around me that make me probably seem a little bit better coach than what I really am. And an amazing group of committed and competent and professional players that also probably makes FC Lahti to seem a little bit better club or better team or even better coach than what we really are, because they want to do it. And I have to take my hats off, because in the middle of many difficulties we have been having, because injuries have been affecting us a lot. In every game. I think I didn't have any game that I could choose. I want these and these and these and these players to start again. Every time I have an idea, something happens. But luckily we have always guys ready, and someone is missing, and someone raised the hand and steps up. So yeah, that's positive, very positive.
Well, since you brought up the injuries, I have to ask about Osku Maukonen, who's been amazing this season. Do you think we will see him against AS Oulu or in the end of the season? Do you think he will play?
He's gonna play. He's gonna play this season for sure. It was nothing bad, as we were a little bit scared. He's back on the field again, so that is no problem, and that's good, because I don't like to speak too much about individual players, but I think we are in the presence of one of the biggest talents I ever coached.
Yeah.
just this.
For sure. So, how do you see the
Hard to say. He's a
Yeah.
goalkeeper, so it's mostly the job of someone,
Mm.
not mine.
Yeah. How do you see the fixture list for the last 5 games? You have 2 games at home. Probably the most difficult, or one of the most difficult away games to start with. You're going to Oulu. So how do you see these 5 games?
We were lucky. The fixture is better than if we finish 10th. Because if we finish 10th, we will have to go to Oulu and Mariam. At least we say one of the longest trips. And the other 2 away games is Turku and Helsinki. So that's not that bad for the kilometers on the road. So I think in that way, it's okay. And our longest trip, it's the first one, so we can prepare things with time and plan. And after this, the longest trip is done. So I think in that way, we were a little bit lucky because I know what has been on the road in this country. I know a lot. This experience in Oulu was very impactful in this way. I know how this affects the performance of the players, the freshness of your mind to make decisions, everything. So I think in this way we were lucky.
Yeah. So, do you have any special feelings now for you're going back to Oulu for the first game of this last 5? So, how are you feeling personally? Is it special to go back to Raati and face AC Oulu there?
Personally, I have very good memories from my games in Raati. Also, some bad ones. You always lose games that you don't want to lose. But I think overall, my personal memories there, they are very good, and what we did there. So it's a good place to be for me personally, yeah, now the calendar dictated that we start there, and that's the important thing now. Is not Ricardo memories or Ricardo feelings, because as a professional, you have to go here and there. And it doesn't matter where you have been before. And at the moment, my focus is, of course, to help FC Lahti to do the best in the remaining games of the season. But I think for us, playing in Oulu is not bad, because FC Lahti and AC Oulu are the only 2 grass fields in the league. So we practice every day in the grass, so we might be ready to play in Raati grass. And I think in this moment of the season, the grass might be good as well. It might help to have a good game there. But yeah, mostly probably I will have the chance to meet some friends in the end of the game. At least a couple of friends already texted me. I'm going to be there to give you a hug in the end. So it's always good and positive.
Yeah. Well, let's say that FC Lahti will be playing in Veikkausliiga next season. It's of course it's your goal to be there. Do you think? How do you feel now? If you think that is going to happen, are you going to be the head coach in FC Lahti next year?
First, I really feel that FC Lahti is going to play Veikkausliiga next season. But I'm really convinced of that. And not only me. In our locker room, everyone is convinced of that. Doesn't matter what it takes, we will make it. That's the conviction of everyone, the deep belief of everyone. Then about the future, honestly, it's probably a little bit too early to speak about. Even though I am happy where I am, and probably people is not too unsatisfied also here in the club with my presence. So I think things naturally can happen if both parts want. That was a little bit the talk also when I came. Hey, let's give a tryout to each other and know each other and and see what the future brings. But if I learned anything in football, I think the major lesson I learned by being head coach in professional football is that you 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 can make plans, but they don't serve you for anything. So better to not make any plan, to not make even big plans or short plans. So I think the plan is to prepare the best training for tomorrow morning. And when I am there, influence the players to have the best training there. Then when we travel, have the best traveling. Then when we are in the meetings and when we are in the game, because if you don't focus on the present moment and you have plans about the next season, um, there is only one moment that exists is the present, not the past, not the future. So I don't have plans. So in the end of the season, if we both parts are happy and want to continue as a single part, then it's gonna be easy to speak. If not, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. Let's see what happens.
Let's
But
see.
what I can say is that, of course, I am enjoying very much to be here. Everything has been very, very good. And I have to say something still on this topic. We didn't win so many games in the beginning. Uh, the team was getting better, little bit, step by step, game by game. But the first month was tough. And those are the moments that you can measure a little bit people around you. And what I felt here from everyone, from the board, from the management in the club, from the people that really makes decisions here, was a lot of support since the first minute until now. Even in this first month, people was seeing the things happening, but still the results not happening. So little bit is the first month. So it gives me hope that people sees things apart from the results, because one of the problems is in, let's say, organizational problems in the professional clubs is when people thinks, okay, now we win always, or now we have a sequence of 7 wins or 10 games without losses or something like this, and we are a top club. That's dangerous. But I think I found here people that first has a lot of experience in this business. I mentioned one name, but there are others. First, they have a lot of experience in this business. They have been in golden moments and in difficult moments. So they know a little bit what it takes. And then I see capacity on people here to understand the things apart from the results, because emotions connected to results we all have, also the coaches, also the players, not only the fans, not only the board members, etc. But I think these are ingredients that give me trust to continue happy here for the time that has to be. Let's see.
Let's see. We will see that after the season what happens. But now I want to wish you all the best for your next game against AC Oulu, and I will see you next week. I will be in Lahti commentating the IFK Mariehamn game.
Okay.
So I will see you then. It's good to see you back in Finland and back on the bench. So all the best and thank you again for being on the show and sharing your thoughts. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you, Ville. Thank you, and it's great to be here second time. Not sure if it's the last. Let's see.
Let's see.
But it's always a pleasure to chat with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. See you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Iso kiitos vielä vierailusta Ricardo Duartelle. Toista kertaa oli mies siis Keskiympyrässä mukana ja jälleen oli kiva kuulla jalkapalloprofessorin mietteitä. Ja mielenkiintoista nähdä, että miten Lahden ja Duarten välinen suhde tästä jatkuu vai jatkuuko. Tietysti vaikuttaa paljon siihen myös se, mikä on Lahden sarjataso tulevalla kaudella, mutta en nyt ihan hirvittävän epätodennäköisenä pitäisi sitä, että Lahden ja Duarten yhteistyö vielä tästä jatkuisi, mene ja tiedä. Mutta tässä oli kuitenkin kaikki Keskiympyrästä tällä kertaa. Nyt ei muuta kuin oikein paljon kiitoksia seurasta. Ensi viikolla jälleen uutta jaksoa uusien aiheiden parissa. Siihen asti, moi moi!